Hello Infotech students, Mrs. Pancoke here. Today we're going to be working on lesson 9, which deals with data and macros. So we're going to be importing data, we're going to sort data, filter data, outlining and subtotaling data, and setting up data in a table format. So this lesson is important because many of these items that we're working with today are on your test. Okay, so first things first, importing data. When you use a workbook that requires a large amount of data, it's helpful if some of the data already exists in some form and that you don't have to type it in manually. So we're going to be importing some information that's already been typed. And while we're doing this, you need to know what delimiters are. They are characters that separate data entries from one another, such as commas, quotation marks, etc. Alright, so let's click we're going to open up a blank Excel workbook. So go ahead and open up Excel. Let's move this on over here. Blank workbook. And we're going to click on the data tab. So this is how you are going to, similar to what we did in Word where we went to insert text, only this time it's different. We're importing data. So in the test, don't go to the insert tab, you want to go to the data tab. And we're going to click on get external data group, and we're going to choose from text. And the import text file dialog box opens up, and we want to locate this 09 document. So let's go to our Infotech 1 folder, Excel, data files, 09 Papa document, and click import. Now, once we get to this step, it says in step 1 of the text import wizard, notice that the preview at the bottom, okay, here's the preview at the bottom. This is Excel's best guess for the moment as to how the data should be formatted. There are population figures rendered in quotation marks with commas between each figure. Here, each comma acts as the delimiter. Remember, that's the characters that separate the data entries. And it's difficult to judge whether each figure between the commas will be the same length. Under choose the file type that best describes your data, we're going to choose delimited. And then select my data has headers. So we want to click right here. Table with, so we can tell this has headers. It kind of mentions that right there. And then the next preview shows the headers starting on row 3. Okay. So we're going to set import at row option 3, so we're going to change this to 3. Start and click next. In step 2 of the wizard, uncheck tab, and we're going to choose comma. Okay, because the preview does not indicate long spaces between the figures, we're going to check the comma and set the qualifier to the quotation mark. Okay, so we want to make sure that's set. And then it says to scroll down the data preview. So we're going to scroll down the data preview and check it out. Notice now that Excel has found the comma separations between figures. So we're going to go ahead and click next. So for step 3, of the wizard, it lets you establish the data type for each discovered column. It says to click the first column in the data preview pane, and then under column data format, check date. Okay, and then we're going to click finish. Okay. The import data dialog box appears next, which means where do you want your data to be imported? We want it to be in an existing worksheet, and it automatically adds column A, row 1. We're going to go ahead and click OK. And first things first, it says that we're going to change the width of column A to 16. So I'm going to go to the Home tab, go to the Format, dialog box, column width, and we're going to type in 16. Okay, the worksheet that Excel has generated is shown in figure 9-4, shows United States population estimates for each month from April 2010 to December 2012. Excel could not make sense of the dates in column A, so it left the data type set to general for most of the cells. However, it did make an error in attempting to convert the year in cell A25. So to correct it, begin by selecting each of the rows. So 2, hold down Control, we're going to select 12 and 25 to be sure to select all 3 rows at the same time before deleting them. So we're going to delete these. So go ahead and click the delete button. Alright, and on step 10 of page 134, it says to click cell A2, and we're going to type April 2010 and then press enter. And then it says to drag the fill handle from A2 to A34. So I'm using the fill handle to fill in all of those, okay? Let's see. Excel changes the entries in column A to proper months. And then it says to delete rows 35 through 40. So I'm going to select these rows and press delete. Okay, and then we're going to save the workbook in Excel Lesson 9 folder. So File, Save As. I'm going to go to my Excel. Let's go to Infotech here. Infotech, LOAC, Excel, and we're going to make a new folder, name it Lesson 9. Okay, and I'm going to open it, and I'm going to name this 09 Monthly Census Data Solution. Okay, go ahead and save. Alright, so we're going to continue getting external data. So a data file stores a series of records in relatively simple format. And Excel is a program that uses data files in this manner. A database is a comparatively complex system that can store a large amount of related data, which requires a program to be able to assess and render the data. Okay, so we're going to be using lots of data and figuring out how to open it. So once again, it says to click the Data tab, and then in the Get External Data group, we're going to open up Access. And later on in the year, we're going to be using Access, so we're going to be working with more sets of data. So from Access, and then it says, in the Select Data Source dialog box, locate 09 customer contacts. Oops, hold on, I need to back up here. It says that we need to open up a blank workbook. So I'm going to just go to File, New, and open up a blank workbook. And I'm going to move it over here. So Data, Get External Data from Access. We're going to go to our Info Tech folder, Excel, Data Files, 09 Customer Contacts Database, and click Open. Okay, in the Select Table dialog box, we're going to click on Customers, make sure it's selected, and then click OK. Okay, in the Import Data dialog box, we're going to click Table. Under where do you want the data to be placed, we're going to click on Existing Worksheet and make sure that it reads I'm going to put in the exclamation point, $A, $1, and then click OK. Okay, well, maybe we'll try getting rid of that. Get rid of the dollar or exclamation point and click OK. Yay, it opened. Alright, so step 5 says to click OK, and Excel displays a formatted table, complete with auto filter buttons in the column headers, which you learn more about later in this lesson under using auto filter. Okay, so we're going to save this workbook in our lesson 9 folder as 09 Customer Solution. So save as, I'm going to save it in my lesson 9 folder. Why that one didn't get put in there correctly, cancel. 09 Customers Solution. Save it. It says to pause, save the workbook, and leave it open for the next exercise. Alright, so next we're going to open 09 Owners XLS workbook for this lesson. So we're going to append data to a worksheet, which means after you import data from another format or database into a worksheet, you'll probably spend a good deal of time reconciling the data with existing records. In the previous 2 exercises, you imported data into blank worksheets. In most situations, however, you'll import data from another source into an existing worksheet. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and go to my folders again. Lesson 1. Data files, lesson 9. I'm going to open up 09 Owners XLS. We'll open that up. Okay, when we open it, always click Enable Editing. Okay, so it says to click in cell A21, and then we're going to click the Data tab, and then in the Get External, here, I'm going to close out of this, it's kind of hard to read that. We're going to click From Other Sources, and then click from XML Data Import, right here. Alright, and it says in the Select Data Source dialog box, locate and select 09 Owners Import. So, we gotta go to our folder, go to our data files, and choose 09 Owners Import, and click Open. Okay, a dialog box named error in XML might appear at this point. If so, click OK to dismiss the dialog box and proceed. Okay, in the import dialog box, click existing worksheet. Make sure it says A21. Then we're going to click OK. Okay, although a list of customers is appended to the end of the worksheet, the columns don't line up as shown in figure 9-7. So it's supposed to look weird and it's supposed to look like this. Okay, so troubleshooting. It says over time the folders where old data files used to reside may cease to exist. This is the case with the original XML file from which you imported data into the worksheet. Some versions of Microsoft XML Praiser will see this as an error, and others will not. Any number of factors may contribute to which XML Praiser your PC actually has. In either case, it isn't really an error, and you don't need to worry about it. So that's referring back to that error message that we saw earlier. Okay, so we're going to correct this problem that we have here. It says by moving the first names of the cell ranges E23, E23 through E75. Okay, so we're going to move this range to B23 through B75. So to move this, I'm going to just simply move my mouse to the boundary, and I'm going to click and I'm going to drag it over to B23 and make sure that you can see that there's a shortcut or pop-up that tells me that I'm in the right spot. And if this pops up, we're going to go ahead and overwrite the existing content. So go ahead and click OK. We do want to replace it. And we're going to move the last names. So we got to find the last names, which are in cell H23 through H75. So select the range H23 through H75. And we're going to move this as well, so I'm going to click on the boundary of my selection, and I'm going to click and drag to move it to cell A23 through A75, and release. Okay, we may need to make this, okay, click OK if the box pops up to overwrite it. And it's thinking. Okay, it says repeat the process for the states in column J that should be in column E. Alrighty, so I'm going to go over to column J, and I'm going to select the range again. And so J should be in column E, so I'm going to use my move handle to move it to column E. Okay. The zip codes in column K need to be moved as well. So I'm going to select the zip codes, move the range K23 through K75 to column F. So click on the boundary, click and drag to move it over and release. Click OK. And the phone numbers in column I. That should be in column G. So we're going to select this range, and we're going to move it to column G. So I'm going to click on the boundary and just slide it over, release, and click OK. Alright. Alright, it says delete columns H through L. So I'm just going to click up here and select my column heading, and we're going to click the delete button. Okay, And then it says delete rows 21 and 22. So select the row heading and then press the delete button. Alright, so after we've deleted these, step 10 says to replace all 11 instances of Del City in column D with the correct spelling of DEL City. So we're going to go to find and replace. And you want to type in Del City. Make sure that you don't have a space after it. Same with this one. No spaces. And you can have it set to workbook or worksheet. It doesn't really matter. But to get to this, you have to click on the options button. So we're going to go ahead and click replace all. And it says all done. We made 11 replacements. Go ahead and click OK. And we can close out of that. And then step 11 says to adjust the column widths to fit the data. So I'm just going to go through and double click the boundaries between my column headings to properly get these all to fit. Alright, like that. And it says to save the workbook in your Excel lesson 9 folder as 09 Owner's Solution. So we're going to go to File, Save As, go to Lesson 9, 09 Owner's Solution, save it. Alright, excuse me. Next we're going to open the 09 Vet Clinic Patients Workbook. So I'm going to go to my folder, go Tech, 09 Vet Clinic Patients. Okay, move it, enable editing. I'm going to have to move it again. Okay, and we're going to click the File tab and click Save As, because now we're going to restrict cell entries to certain data types. So I'm going to close out of this. It says up here that validation helps ensure that the data gets entered correctly before it gets processed incorrectly. Excel's data validation tool can help you set up rules to keep you and everyone else from entering invalid or unusable data. Okay, so go to Save As, and we're going to go to our Lesson 9 folder, and we're going to save it as 09 Patients Solution. Save. Okay, so it says to freeze rows 1 through 4 in this in both worksheets in the workbook. So we go to View, and you can go to Freeze Panes, and I'm going to click on Freeze Pane. Go ahead and do it over here. Select those two and freeze pane. So for both patient list and client list. Then it says in the clients list worksheet, we're going to select column L, which is the area code. And then we're going to click the Data tab. And then in the Data Tools group, which is right here, we're going to click Data Validation. Okay, the Data Validation box opens up. And we're going to make sure we're on the Settings tab. And then in the Allow List box, we're going to choose Text Length. This is the first step in the creation of a rule governing how many characters each new entry should contain. In the Data List box, we're going to choose equals to and then under length, we're going to type in 3. Okay, and then it says click the input message, and this tab displays a message when you select a cell in the validation range. And we're going to, for the title, type rule : colon. In the message, it's going to say, please enter a 3-digit area code, period. Click the error alert, and Excel can display an error alert message when a user attempts to enter data that is invalid. And then in the title box, we're going to type data entry error. And then in the error message, we're going to type only 3-digit area codes are recognized, period. This message is displayed in a dialog box whenever an invalid entry is made in column L. The dialog box should now read, should appear as shown in figure 9-9. Okay, we're going to go ahead and click OK. And then to test this validation rule, we're going to click in cell L57, which is right here, and type 40. Okay. Excel displays an alert dialog message with, go ahead and hit 40 and then hit enter. Okay, when you do that, it tells you here that, oops, we typed in the wrong number. And we're going to click cancel, and it will delete out our 40 that we typed. The partial entry of in L57 is erased. It says pause, save the workbook, and leave it open. So we're just going to hit the save button. And next we're going to allow only specific values to be entered in cells. So it says to click the File tab, and we're going to select Save As. And it says to save the workbook in your Lesson 9 folder as Vet Clinic Patient Solution 2. Hit Save. And we're going to click the Patients List tab down here, Sheet tab. And it tells us to click on column D to select the whole column. And then on the Data tab, in the Data Tools group, we're going to click Data Validation and click on the Settings tab. And then in the Allow List box, we're going to choose List. The source box appears at the bottom of the dialog box. And we're going to click in source, and we're going to type M, F, N. Okay, be careful to include make sure you include the commas. And then it says to unclick the ignore blank box. It says to click the input message tab, and in the input message box, type male, space female, space or neutered. Okay, and then we're gonna click OK. It says, now anyone entering a new patient into the database must specify the animal's gender from a drop-down list in the cell. Click on column E, the owner number, and then in the Data Tools group, we're going to click Data Validation, click Settings, and we're going to choose Allow List. And then on the right side of the source box, we're going to click the Collapse Dialog Box button. And with the dialog validation dialog box collapsed, we're going to click the Client List worksheet. And select column A, client numbers. At the end of the source box, click the Expand Dialog Box button. Okay, the full dialog box returns, and the source box should now read equals client list, exclamation, A, $A, $A. It says to unselect ignore blank, and in cells drop down boxes, and we're going to click the error alert tab, and we're going to choose warning from the styles box. In the error message, we're going to type owner must be the number for a pre-existing client. And then it says to click OK. Now the owner number column may contain only numbers for clients who appear in the client number column of the client list worksheet. So now your owner number has to be the same as the client number over here. So it has to already exist. Okay? To make sure your new validation rules are working, in the patients list worksheet at the bottom, we're going to click in cell A57. I'm going to make sure that okay. So click in cell A57, and we're going to type the following data. Burdock, dog, Rottweiler, B. Okay. After you attempt to type B in column D, you should get an error message. So we're going to click retry, and we're going to type in an M for male. And we're going to type in 61. Okay, and we got a warning message that says owner must be the number for a pre-existing client. Do you want to continue? We're going to click no, and instead type in 31. Okay, on page 140, it says to pause, save the workbook, and leave it open. Alright, so go ahead and hit save. And we're going to leave this open and get ready to use our next step-by-step, which is removing duplicate rows from a worksheet. Alright, so we're on page 141. Next we're going to remove duplicate rows from a worksheet. So we need to file, save as, go to our lesson 9 folder, save it as 09 Vet Clinics Patient Solution 3, save, and step 2 says to click on Client List Worksheet tab. And it says that in A57 we're going to type the following data in the appropriate column. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and type this in 0053 Mrs. Oh, I already did this. Type in 0053 Mrs. Mary J. Brink, 704 Fairway Drive, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45250, and then her phone number. It says to select the range A4 through N57, and then we're going to click on the Remove Duplicates button in the Data Table, Data Tools group. In the columns list, we want to remove the check beside client number. If duplicate names and addresses appear in the list, it's likely their client index numbers were not duplicated. Leave the My Data Has Headers checked in row 4, and then it says to click OK. Excel responds with a dialog box stating one duplicate value is set. The one you just entered was removed. We're going to click OK. So you should not see this row 57 anymore. It should be removed. Click OK to dismiss the dialog box, and note that the second lowermost instance of the duplicate entry was removed from row 57. Okay, it says to pause and save the workbook and leave it open to use the next exercise. I do know that removing duplicates is in your Excel test. Okay. Next, we're going to save the current workbook as Vet Clinic Solution 4. Okay, and in the patients list worksheet, we're going to click in cell E5. Note that this is the first cell in the owner number column. Oh, sorry, E5. And its entries are numerical. On the Data tab in the Sort and Filter group, we're going to click Sort Smallest to Largest button. It's the one with the A on top and the Z and the arrow pointing down. The list is now sorted in ascending or numerical order by owner number, which was the column you clicked in before performing the sort. Okay, I'm going to remove my freeze pane. Okay, you should see them sorted in order number. Next, we're going to click in cell A5. Okay, and we're going to click the sort button in the data group again. Sort A to Z. This time it is sorted by patient's name, and again, the first column you clicked in before performing the sort. Murdoch, the Rottweiler, which you previously added to row 57, now appears in row 44 because it's by alphabetical order. We're going to save the workbook and leave it open for the next exercise. So next we're going to sort data on multiple criteria. So we're going to click on the Client List Worksheet tab and select the range A4 through N56. Okay, and we're going to name the range client. So I'm going to give it a name. Clients, hit enter. And then on the Data tab, in the Sort and Filter group, we're going to click the Sort button. The Sort dialog box appears, and in the Sort by List box under Columns, we're going to choose last name. Okay, this is going to be on your test as well, doing this sort using the Sort button on the Data column. So we're going to sort by last name, and then we're going to add level. And then we're going to choose first name. Then we're going to add level. And then we're going to choose middle initial. And then we're going to click add level again. And then in this box we're going to choose by suffix. The dialog box should now appear as depicted in figure F13 or figure 913. Leave the My Data Has Headers check, so Excel won't treat the header as part of the range. And then it says to click OK. The client list is now sorted alphabetically with people sharing the same last name sorted alphabetically by last name. Although the client numbers appear all out of sort, the data is unchanged and the database itself retains its full integrity. Alright, we're gonna next, top of page 143, bottom of 142, we're gonna sort data using cell attributes. So we need to open the patient's list worksheet, which should be sorted in ascending order by column A. Patient's list. Sorted by column A, we're going to select column E. Alright, so after we've selected column E, it says to right-click the column and then click Insert. Okay, with column E selected, on the Data tab, in the Data Tools group, we're going to click Data Validation. And we're going to click Clear All. When you create a new column to the right of one governed by a validation rule, the column acquires the same rule. So if we don't remove that, it's going to still have the rule that we have for column F, and we don't want that. So in E4, we're going to type spayed / neutered, and we're going to change the width of column E to 17. Okay. And then we are going to, in column E, type S for the following numbers. So I turned on my caps lock key, and it is 6, 15, 19, 21, 22, and I'm just using my arrow keys to move down. 25, 34, 37, 46, 50, and 56. And in column E, type an N for the following numbers. 5, so we're going to type an N, and 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 16, 17, 20, 24, 27, 30, 31, 32, 36, 40, 41, 43, 47, 48, 52, 54, and 57. Okay, it says to select column E, then on the Data tab, in the Data Tools group, we're going to click on the Data Validation again. Click on the Settings tab, and then under the Allow, we're going to change it to List. And in the source box, we're going to type an N, comma, S. And in the Input Message tab, in the Input Message box, we're going to type S equals spade, N equals neutered, and then we'll click OK. Okay, and then the box will pop up right here. Okay, select the range E5 through E100. And then on the Home tab in the Styles group, we're going to click on Conditional Formatting, and we're going to choose New Rule. In the New Rule dialog box, we're going to choose Format only cells that contain. Okay, and we're going to choose No Blanks. Under cells that only contain with no blanks, choose Format. And it says to choose the 6 color swatch from the left in the 3rd row, which would be this color right here. And we're going to click OK. It says click OK. Now now both spayed and neuter animals should appear shaded. Select the range A4 through F57. Name this range Patients. Alright, and then in the Sort and Filter group, we're going to go back to the Data tab. In the Sort and Filter group, we're going to click Sort. And in the Sort dialog box, in the Sort by List, we're going to change it to Spayed and Neutered. And then in the Sort on List, we're going to choose Cell Color. Then we're going to click the down arrow next to No Cell Color. Okay, the list box that appears only shows those colors that are actually used in conditional formatting swatch. We're going to choose that color that we picked. And then it says click OK. The sorted worksheet now only appears as shown in figure 9-15. All of the N and S animals are grouped together with the 2 types mingling among each other. All the non-operated on animals are bunched towards the bottom. Alright, so pause, save the workbook, and leave it open for the next exercise. Next we're going to be filtering data. So use the same workbook. We're going to save it as in our Lesson 9 folder, Vet Clinic Patient Solution 5. Okay, and then we're going to click the Clients Sheet, Worksheet tab. In the name box, type Clients and press Enter. Excel highlights the data range for the client's table, and on the Data tab in the Sort and Filter group, we're going to click the Filter button. Excel adds down arrow buttons to the name fields in all the columns in the list. We're going to scroll up and select cell A5 to deselect the range. It says to click the down arrow beside client number heading, and in column A, Excel displays the auto filter menu as shown in figure 9-16. We are going to sort the table by client number, so we're going to click the sort smallest to largest. This gives you a shortcut for sorting. To show just the clients with addresses in Ohio, we're going to click the down arrow beside state, and in the filter menu that appears, we're going to uncheck select all. Oh, whoops, cancel, I chose the wrong one there. Uncheck select all, and then we're going to choose Ohio, and then click OK. So now we are only seeing the clients that live in Ohio. It says to pause, save the workbook, and leave it open for the next exercise. Next, we're going to be creating a custom auto filter. So we're going to switch to the patient list worksheet, and we're going to insert a new column between the existing columns of D and E. So I'm going to click on column E, and I'm going to right click and click insert. Okay, and we got to clear the validation rule for this new column E. I'm going to click OK. Okay, and we're going to add the title hepatitis inoculation. Okay, and it says to widen the column as necessary, so I'm going to make it a little bit wider, and I'm going to make this one a little bit shorter. There we go. Okay, and it says to display the heading on 2 lines. Okay. Oh, let's see. Whoops. We're going to change that a little bit. There you go. Okay, and then type the following dates into the cells as shown. Go ahead and type in these dates into the appropriate cells. So under E8, type 1, 18, 2016, and E11, 2015, 13, 5-15-2016, just using my down arrow. E18, oops, E18 3-1-2013, E22 10-19-2014, E26 7-5-2016, E32 2-2-2015, E37 8-15-2016, E38 7-14-2015, and E43 9-1-2016. Okay, it says to select the patient's data range. For some reason, maybe I didn't click on it. So go ahead and find your patient's data range. Okay. The range should automatically include the new column. Let's see. On the data tab, in the sort and filter group, we're going to click filter. Okay, and then it says click the down arrow beside hepatitis inoculation, and we're going to point to data filters and then choose custom filter. Okay, the custom filter dialog box opens, and in the first list box we're going to choose is before. Then in the box to the right, we're going to type 1-1-2016. And then in the second box, we're going to type equals, and we need to click the OR button. And then we're going to leave the list box blank. And the dialog box should now appear as shown in figure 9-19. Go ahead and click OK. Okay. After the dialog box disappears, Excel filters out all entries in the patient's list where the patient is known to have had hepatitis inoculation in 2016 or later. And what remains are both the animals known to have been inoculated in 2015 or earlier, or those inoculated dates are not known. Okay. It says to click the filter button beside hepatitis inoculation again, and in the menu point to date filters, and we're going to choose custom filter again. In the second list box that currently reads equals, we're going to choose the blank entry at the top of the list. The box should now be empty. We're going to go ahead and click OK. The list should now show only 5 animals known to have been inoculated in 2015. It says to click the filter button beside hepatitis inoculation again. And in the menu, we're going to clear the filter from hepatitis inoculation. It says to pause and save this workbook and leave it open for the next exercise. Okay, I'm on page 148. We're gonna use the same workbook from the previous exercise. In the patient's list worksheet, we're gonna click the spayed and neutered drop down arrow. And in the menu, we're gonna click filter by color. Choose the pink swatch. Now Excel shows only those animals that have been spayed or neutered. It says to pause, save the workbook, and leave it open to use the next exercise. Next, we're going to be outlining and subtotaling data. Okay, so note that there are some different terms here, such as collapse. It says Excel can then collapse those groups into single row headings called outlines. Excel uses outlines to generate reports that provide you with meaningful data about the items in each group collectively. The most important but probably most frequently used of these reports shows you subtotals for the values that are grouped together. The simplest form of data grouping involves taking a row of cells that have one related attribute, clustering them together, and then collapsing the cluster like a folder that can be reopened later. So we're going to be grouping and ungrouping data, page 149. It says to save this current workbook as Vet Clinic Solution 6. Okay, and it says to take note. Enrolling a set of records into a group changes the behavior of autofilters that might incorporate that group. For example, when you try to sort a column, only the records that are not members of a group are sorted. Once records are grouped, their order is fixed and their usefulness as part of an active database is reduced. Especially if you add subtotal rows to the middle. For this reason, you should reserve grouping and outlining for workbooks that are presented as final, unchanged reports for a particular point in time. With the patients list worksheet active, we're going to click on the data tab, and in the sort and filter group, we're going to click clear. Okay. Next to cat or dog, we're going to click the down arrow. Okay, and then we're going to click sort A to Z. Now all cats are clustered together at the top and the dogs are at the bottom. It says to right click the heading for row 29. The row where the first dog appears, and we're going to click insert in the shortcut menu. So right click with your mouse and click insert, and then we're going to click in cell H29 and type number of cats, and in G29, we're going to select G29, and then in the Home tab, in the Font group, click the bold button to emphasize the number that will appear in the cell. Then on the Home tab, in the editing group, we're going to click the auto sum button. Click the auto sum drop down arrow, and we're going to click count numbers. And then press enter. Excel inserts a function into the cell that counts the number of continuous cells in the column just above it that contains numbers. In this case, the owner number for cats. Okay. Add a similar count function for counting the number of dogs in row 59. Okay, so down here we're going to type number of dogs, and then we want to choose count numbers, making sure to only count the number of dogs. So I'm going to select my range and then hit enter. Okay, it says to select rows 5 through 28, all of the cats. And click the data tab. Then in the outline group, we're going to click the group button. Okay. A group indicator line is added to the left of the row markers, and an outline symbol displays on the row just below the end of the group. Okay, so you can see this line over here that indicates that we have a group. Repeat this process in step 9 and 10 for rows 30 through 58. Okay, so I'm going to click select them all, and then we're going to click group. Okay. It says to collapse the cats group, we're going to click the minus sign beside row 29. Okay, so now all of our cats are minimized. The control becomes a plus sign indicating where you can click on it, it will show the cats again. Collapse the dogs group. The worksheet now appears fully collapsed. Next, we're going to click the Select All button. Okay, the Select All button is this arrow right here. And then on the Data tab in the Outline group, we're going to choose Show Detail. And we're going to select columns B through F. And in the Outline group, we're going to click the Group button. A new group is created. And then we're going to click the minus button over the top of column G. And in the Outline group, we're going to click the Ungroup button. The columnar group should disappear, but it didn't. There we go, ungroup. So we want that group to disappear. You should still have the cat and dog groups. It says to pause, save, and close the workbook. Leave Excel open, use in the next exercise. So we're going to save and close.